All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to WreckTalk. I know what you're thinking, the same thing that people did on the live show I just finished. Are you wearing scrubs? I am. I got problems in my own house here. Problems with my own team. So I put some scrubs on in order to play doctor. And that's what we're going to do on this video too. We're going to surgically dissect these power rankings and try to get to something that makes sense. I don't know. I don't think I often make sense, but we'll try and do it today. Now, crazy week of college football. In some instances, especially in the ACC, some close calls, some embarrassing losses for some. But you know what? Let's just get into it. So, first game, Thursday night, Pitt plays poor host to Syracuse, beating them 41-13. Now, I watched the first half of that game. I think I was in the middle of streaming a show or I was on my way, so I wasn't watching all of it. But not one, not two, not three picks, 3 pick sixes for Golden Boy Kyle McCord and Fran Brown. Now, I personally have a bone to pick with Fran Brown. You can go watch that video if you want, where he picks a beef with Brent Key because Brent Key didn't say they were best buddies or something. And Fran Brown said, "Hey, I'm from Jersey, boy. You better act like you know someone from Jersey." Okay, well, he said, "Oh, I'm from Jersey. We're tough guys." Well, they weren't all that tough in this game. 5 total picks for Kyle McCord. And if you don't know, like, oh, why are they running it here? It's because you have to have some semblance of balance on offense, or like Pitt, you can just sit on the pass when you have Kyle McCord throwing 60 times a game. So Syracuse, did they just have one ACC loss? No, they have 2. We're going to drop them all the way down to average. I think they got exposed in this game as being one-dimensional. If you look at who they had played up to Pittsburgh, and this is going to be tough for me because I know I'm one of the teams, they beat Ohio. They beat Georgia Tech, who is struggling mightily right now. Not the team I thought they were this year. They were ranked when they played Tech, though. Tech was ranked when they played them. Lost to Stanford. Stanford's like 2-5, 2-6 now. Holy Cross, UNLV, NC State. So it's not like they've been playing a bunch of really good teams, right? I think this was a game they got exposed in. In fact, there's one Syracuse fan that is so pissed off at me that he makes videos about me, which is sad when there's so little coverage for your team that you have to come after me because you don't like that you acted like a jackass and got banned. But it is what it is, right? Next game, Louisville at Boston College. Louisville's kind of been on the struggle bus, in my opinion. They were down in this game. I forget by how much, but they were down pretty good to a pretty bad Boston College team. Just looking through the stats, I only watched a little bit of it, but it seems like Louisville's whole offense is that wide receiver. They have Boston College, how many turnovers? Let's just go look at the box score for this game. Like, Boston College is a turnover machine. They let Casanellis throw for 3 touchdowns on them, though. Jeez. There had to be some turnovers, though, right? There had to be for Boston College to be up like that. No, 1 fumble loss and 2 interceptions thrown for Louisville. How are you? I mean, I thought Tyler, is his name Tyler Shook? Tyler Show? Smog, if you're into Dark Souls. How do you let him throw more picks than Casanellis? Won't know, but I think you're an average team. I do think I am going to put them above Syracuse. Boston College is bad. They're bad. I'm going real bad. Not a good look lately for Louisville, though. Now, Florida State at Miami. This was a game where the line was weird to me, only 21 points for Miami. That's why I go on the offensive on why you don't sports bet. They still do cover. So Miami wins 36-14. So they win by 22 points. Cam Ward ends up looking a little more human in this game, throwing for 208 yards. It's a rivalry game, though. you're going to get the best version of whatever team you're playing. Now, Florida State, 1-7. Speak of salty-ass fans that can't take anyone talking trash about their team whatsoever. I can't think of a better embodiment for that than Florida State. Obviously, what are we going to call this week? What should the doo-doo tier be? We'll just call it salty-ass FSU fans tier. They're the worst. They still comment on like every video with some kind of bullshit that they've concocted to try and cope with the fact that no one cares about them as a person or their team. I can't think of a more fitting season for a sorry-ass team like Florida State. Now, Miami, they got to remain a national title contender. Undefeated. When was the last time they were 8-0? Were they even that under Mark Richt when he went to an ACC, their only ACC title appearance? I don't think so. If we look at Miami's schedule going out the rest of the season, they've got Duke, who we're going to talk about, should have beat SMU. Should have, but didn't. They've got my Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, which they'll probably beat handedly. Wake Forest and Syracuse. They'll be 2 touchdown favorites in every one of those games. So you're likely to see an undefeated Miami team here, and they're going to be in the ACC title. They're going to be a playoff team, so you got to make them a national title contender, right? Now, for national title contender, why do I separate that from ACC championship contender? With the way the ACC's been, there's obviously been teams that could win the conference that probably couldn't compete for a national title, a la maybe Pitt when they won it, or Wake in 06 when they won it. So that'd be the reason for that. Final and overtime, SMU on the road at Duke. Duke, who I don't think is a great team, should have beat SMU. Had a blocked field goal from the 20? That ended up icing the game for SMU. The game ends up being 28-27. And I want to say I took Duke in the points in that game, and I want to say I took the under. I think I'm going to end up looking pretty good for that. Duke, I'm going to put them, I don't know where I had them last time. I'm going to put them in average. Though they're a team that's in a rebuild right now. Obviously, Elko at Texas A&M beats LSU. Elko might end up on the Mount Rushmore of coaches. Like, the dude's won everywhere he's been, taking over a bad situation at A&M. As far as what he was left, as far as what the program has for Elko, there's not a team in the country probably that has more support for football than Texas A&M, right? SMU, I had you as ACC championship contender last week. I think you probably drop. I think you drop a game. So you're going to get beat by Pitt, and I think Boston College, Virginia, or Cal beats you. I'm probably disrespecting them by not keeping them as an ACC championship contender, but I think they got 2 losses coming up, just based off that game. It's an unfair world, SMU. Deal with it. Georgia Tech on the road at Virginia Tech. I streamed this game. Obviously, I'm a Georgia Tech channel. Georgia Tech only had 6. Well, first of all, before I even, what the score is probably. Let me tell you, just listen to these stats, because it doesn't make sense. And tell me, just based on the stats, who you think won. Who you think won. Total yards, 237 for Virginia Tech. Passing yards, 134. Evidently, rushing yards, 103. This is the number 1 rushing team in the conference, held to 103 total yards of rushing. Georgia Tech, 356 total yards, 260 passing yards, 96 rushing yards, and they beat them in time of possession. And Georgia Tech loses this game by 2 scores. I don't think I've ever seen that kind of parity in stats before, where one team won by multiple scores. 21-6, Georgia Tech could not muster a single offensive touchdown in this game. They're a bad team right now. Now, look, they're injured. Haynes King is out. They got a bunch of running backs out. They got a bunch of tight ends out. They got some DBs out. That's why you have an 85-man roster, though. Tech has depth issues. Tech, not a very good team right now. Hate to admit it. They're my guys. Had a whole show addressing the fan base, perception, people wanting to fire a head coach, which is why I have the scrubs on. Virginia Tech. I do not think our defense, though I do think our defense is good, should have held them. Held them to 103 yards rushing. I think Tootin got injured at some point in that game, but still not good. I got to put them behind Duke right now. Duke, how many losses does Duke have? 2? You know what? I do think top to bottom Virginia Tech's a better team than Duke. I think Virginia Tech probably beats Duke, but who knows? Next game. North Carolina at Virginia. I think I took Virginia. I don't know if I took the over on this game, though. The Tar Jeff Collinses of North Carolina beat Virginia 41-14. I don't think anyone saw that coming. I felt like North Carolina was going to win this game. I did not see them blowing out Virginia on the road, though. And Virginia has been a problem for UNC for several years now. Big win for North Carolina. Virginia now drops to 4-4. Same record as North Carolina. Now, North Carolina, not a good team. But neither is Virginia, but a good win. Good win for North Carolina. I mean, what more can you say? Shout out to the Tar Heels. Shout out to Russ, too. He's a good dude. He just roots for a bad team like North Carolina. But right now, I'm rooting for a bad team like Georgia Tech. Wake Forest on the road at Stanford. Now, I did not see this coming. Wake Forest beat Stanford 27-24. I felt like traveling all the way across the country was going to be tough for Wake. Wake has not been a good team. But you know what? All of a sudden, Wake's 4-4. Stanford now 2-6. I get their quarterback's been hurt, but you should not be getting beat by Wake at home. And they might be the newest inductee to the salty-ass FSU fans' tiers. I mean, they're one of the worst 2 teams in the conference at this point, right? You got to be. The trees, baby. What are you doing? But you got a good Olympic rowing team, I hear. All right, Oregon State on the road at Cal. Cal beat the absolute life out of Oregon State. Something else I didn't see either. Now, I don't know much about Oregon State. They're 4-4 right now. Cal has a really good defense, though. The Cal's problem has been their offense has been suspect. They haven't been able to score points. Now, they had Miami beat. They had them beat. Let it slip away. Didn't put their foot on their necks when they had them Ducks down. Or whatever they are, Hurricanes. They have a little duck. What's Miami's mascot? Ducky Duck. I think that's his name. But Cal, a middle of the road team. You know, I'd put them in average. And I don't know. Duke has a pretty good defense too. We'll keep Cal there for the moment. Now, rest of the teams. Oh, I didn't put Pitt. Pitt's an ACC championship contender. I don't know if they can compete for a natty right now. If they have a realistic shot, I'm going to keep them an ACC championship contender. The rest of these 3 teams were on byes this week. Georgia Tech's on a bye next week. Now, I've made fun of like Florida State fans and some other fans like, man, no one's rooted for a bye like them. Hey, I'm with you. Rooting for a bye this week. Clemson, I'm still going to put them above Pitt right now. Clemson playing good ball for several weeks now. Was it NC State? Let me confirm. Can confirm NC State was on a bye. They're a bad team, though. They're a bad team. And I think they're worse than all these teams, which is a good news for Georgia Tech because we're probably going to have to beat NC State to make a bowl this year. Georgia Tech has bye Miami, bye NC State, Georgia for the rest of the season. They're sitting on 5 wins. Yes, I am sweating. Now, that is a Thursday night game late in November, but going to be pivotal for Tech. We did talk about Wake. Wake getting the win over Stanford. I'll put them above NC State. Let me see if I want to change anything real quick. Miami's number 1, Clemson number 2, Pitt number 3, SMU number 4. I don't think anyone would argue with the top 4. Louisville 5, Stanford 6, or Syracuse 6. I'm sure, you know what? We'll put Syracuse above Louisville at 7, Louisville 8, Virginia Tech 9, Duke 10, Cal 13, Georgia Tech 14, Boston College 15, North Carolina 16, Virginia 17, Wake Forest 18, NC State. I've counted too many. We already got too many teams. Don't ever think I went to Georgia Tech with how I'm counting. I do think North Carolina should go behind Virginia. Man, they just beat Virginia, though. This is tough. What is North Carolina's? They're 1-3 in the ACC, though. They're 1-3 in the ACC, though. I mean, they had a good game. They beat the life out of Virginia. This is a tough one this week, guys. I do think you got to keep it like that for now. We're just going to keep it like that for now. All right. You see what they are on the screen. I think no one's going to argue with the top 4. The problem is that the rest of the teams, 5 through 17 or whatever, are so up and down. Tough to say who really should go where. I think I've done a good a job as anyone, though. So let me know what you guys think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments. You guys have a good one.